Yeah, you can go wherever you want.
Orange flag right there.
All right. Just kind of hit and get. I know you're warmed up, but I want to see you kind of get a pattern here, and then we'll get rolling.
You just want me to hit wedges?
Yeah, let's do some wedges, and I want to see you hit the nice bumblebee there. Huh?
Yeah, get out of here.
Need none of that. Yeah, we'll hit a few of those, and I want to see you hit the 7-iron a few times as well. See what we got. And you said you were striping it there for a while.
Yeah, it was
after our last lesson, but then it just kind of started to slowly
yeah,
go away a little bit.
I don't know if it was because the slowing down. I started getting in bad habits where, I mean, I'm hitting it bad on the toe, and I was fighting a hook in my driver bad.
When you started hitting it bad, you were?
Yeah.
All right. It's a lot better though with you got that little change of direction now. It's not so violent.
Yeah.
That's good. And so when you do the slow down, it's important to know the difference between the slowing down and quitting, and that could cause like a toe flip hook or something like that.
Yeah.
So when you decel, it's really just to stabilize the club and let it gather energy. It's not really to just. Sometimes what will happen, players will just shut down their body, and it stalls out the pivot and club face, and then next thing you get a flip hook.
Yeah.
Beauty. Little 3-footer. Let's hit a few of these. Most people would fall in love with that shot, but you and I both know that was, even though it's straight at the flag, it's not missing a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's just missed, and that's what I'm saying. Stuff like that, it's just not solid.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Like I said, most people would fall in love. A 70, well, even a scratch player would love a lot of that. But you're a different level, and that's not the best you have.
No, I mean it's hard to control distance. Distance control is terrible that way.
Yep.
It's
because when you flush one, how are you going to know your distance?
Exactly.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it's going to go within, you're going to have a 30-footer probably up the hill or whatever it is, or you'd be chipping up the hill. But, if that ball's flush, obviously, then you've got a 5-foot putt or, 15 gather,
a birdie chance.
A birdie chance, a legit birdie.
A legit birdie chance.
Because it wasn't direction. Same thing. Another good shot. I mean, I guarantee you. You look at that. When you look at this video here, you don't get to see how pretty that shot is, but it's still, that was better than the one before, but it still wasn't there.
It's still not there, yeah.
Yep. All right.
You know exactly where I'm coming from.
I know exactly. That's the difference of playing at an extremely, a plus handicap versus a scratch to 2 or 3.
Yep.
That one you'd like, but it's still the same move. It was probably a little toey.
It is. Yep.
Hair. Reading your mind.
It was.
But I know I can see the move. I can tell that that's going to be kind of toe based if you're underplaying. But we'll talk about that. Let's hit one more, and then we'll kind of get off past this stuff. You're hitting great shots, but we got to make them better. I should say good shots. They're great. We probably wouldn't be having a conversation about it.
Right.
4 balls that were, what club is that?
7-iron.
And so they were probably dispersion from the hole, would say
20 feet.
20 feet, 10
20.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a line goes, they're probably not 10 feet apart. But as far as distance, like you said, and to be a great player, you have to have great iron control. It's about ball control. And you know that. But anyway, so I'm going to show you what I see going on here. We'll hop in. All right, so what I'm seeing is this stuff is great. We're not touching any of that stuff. But when you start down, there's still some of this spin. This gets quick, right? Mm-hmm. And then the club's it's too far back. And so what happens is the body's sitting here waiting, and it's outrunning the club essentially. All right, so the club's sitting here going, "Hey man, I can't catch up. No matter what you do, you can't get the club caught up to the body. So what we got to do is essentially keep more torque in the body. So speed would look like this, right? And there's a different, you can classify speed however you want to classify speed. We classify speed as like twisting and spinning, which is not what I'm looking for. Torque is more slow, kind of where you wrench the core muscles like this. So when you come in, you're torquing this way and you're containing torque. Even though there's rotation, it's slower, and you're containing more torque into the core here. And then the club and body hit all of a sudden at one point. And then that's where you'll be able to, connect, and you know that you're not hitting that little spin out shot. Because you're hitting it, if you look at the plane of the swing, you're hitting it from the plane of the swing. The plane's phenomenal, all right? And the swing's phenomenal. But there's just a little, as you're hitting the ball, there's too much of this spin out, and it's creating kind of a masse along the ball, which you obviously know you don't need. So what the correction is, remember the last time we worked, it's not too far from that. And usually it's not with very high level players. But remember in the middle of the shaft, all right? Well, if you were here and you spun out and you pulled the club in forward like this, it looks good, like on video, you're going to say, oh man, look at this. It's way up here. It's a high handle. Yeah, it's going to get a high handle, high handle being up, and yours isn't that high, but it would get up and run away, but it's also, it gets in here so deep that you're having to spin like this. And that doesn't look bad on video, but the problem is in reality, when you're spinning like this and hitting the shot, the ball is getting massed across the face, and you don't need that. So what we want to do is get control of the middle of the shaft and as you're hitting the ball's staying welded along the face. All right. So in the sweet spot, as you're going here, the sweet spot and the mass of the body are working as one unit forward, and that forward mass is what's going to, and you do a good job of that. But you get here, and that mass starts to work left too fast as you're hitting the ball, and that's creating a masse along the face. All right. So we're going to start with that drill again. With a sand wedge, and I'm going to teach you how to work forward and not around, so we're not massing the ball. Okay. So just grab the middle of the shaft with the right hand to start with, all the way up to the middle. Keep going. Right there. There you go. And just take it up there, normal backswing, turn, and all that stuff. All right, and then get control of it. Go to impact now. So even right there, like, it doesn't look bad, but see how the hip's kind of going a little bit like that? Mm-hmm. Well, if you were doing that in slow motion, imagine what it's going to be happening when we're going full speed. So go back up there. I'm going to show you the proper movement. We want this to go ahead and start to go down. The sweet spot's going down, and I want you to be working with your right ankle forward. There you go. And now just let the club catch up. That's all it takes. See what you're doing, you can see like do it one more time, I'll show you. When you're doing that, do it again kind of like your way. You're getting, see how even that's jammed? Because see my body, your body's stuck right here, and the club's too far behind, even though it has plenty of lag, but that's a disconnect. All right, so let me show you what it would look like. We'll do this slow. I'm gonna grab it right in the middle, all right? Because you'll feel it better. Now we're gonna do it slow, but the weight, go ahead and shift the weight forward, and I'm releasing this. Mm-hmm. See, I don't want the face to be like that, and then this. I want you to be where you're like that, and you feel how everything's connected. Mm-hmm. Not so much of this, more of that. Okay. And then real slow. So get the sweet spot. There you go. Let it release though. You're trying to
still holding on it.
Yeah, you're trying to tug on it. So when you the harder you tug, the more your body's going to try to spin, and that's where the ball's spinning across the face a little bit, and it's low on the face as you know.
So I just can't.
Yeah, don't.
Not there.
Yeah. Just feel like that. You're going to feel like you're slightly casting the club. Okay, so you're pushing the club away. That's what Dustin Johnson does. He pushes the club away. See, like that. Instead of you're going to move your body first, you're getting here, right? Mm-hmm. Now you can feel what's going to happen. This is going to get too wobbly. Right? It's not connected. If I'm doing it when I get here and I slow and I push the kind of club away this way, see how it's easy for your body to work? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's hit some little shots, just getting comfortable with it. Say, 30 yards, just getting relaxed with it, not trying to, not trying to bust it or anything. We're just trying to learn a new movement pattern. And slow. There you go. You just did it first swing. It was a little twisty at the end, which we know that's kind of your tendency. If you get the mass timed up, you can twist late, which you'll see a lot of great players do. They're twisting a lot later than what you think they're doing on TV or in slow motion or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't want to be twisting as you're hitting a golf ball, that's for sure.
Okay. And that's what I'm doing.
You tend to twist, yep. You want to learn how to get the mass to go forward and allow the club to kind of release for you a little bit earlier. Like that. You feel the difference?
Yeah. It feels like the club is
You're
like
passing it down, right?
like it's out here and
Exactly. You're for you, and again, most amateurs are doing it. It's all relative to a player. We know your swing, but what you're feeling is like the club's kind of slowly moving away like this. Well, most amateurs are going. They stop the body and spin, and do that, right?
Yeah.
But what yours is doing is you do a good player's move is you pull the hips open and tug the club back like this, and then there's too much disconnect, too much separation between the body and the sweet spot, and so there's a disconnect which ends up with a little flip. Most, like I said, high handicappers would die to have that move, right? But the better you play, the more that the sweet spot has to be in time with the body and the mass and momentum. Okay. So what you got to feel is like the law of the pendulum. All you got to do is Google it. Look at the law of the pendulum. It goes here. There's a slight delay, and it's this way. This is how you would, if you're going to build a wrecking ball, which this is a wrecking ball. It's accuracy and power, right? Attached together, mass and momentum. You wouldn't build it like this, like that, right? Where the ball was coming up and doing this, or if it was coming out, where you wouldn't cast it away. What you do is the law of the pendulum looks like this. It comes up, slight delay, and then back down, boom. So it's very consistent. And so when you're here, this is what you're doing. You're breaking that law of the pendulum. So you can use physics to work more for you, because we know biomechanically you're a hell of an athlete, but we know as soon as you start to put some basic physics, laws of physics, the law of the pendulum, which is, hell, anybody can learn that. It's not hard. You can use width on your downswing instead of this real narrow downswing, and you don't move your center around as much. Move the mass forward, all right? There you go, like that. Move it forward. Don't move it. You don't ever have to worry about rotation. You're already like this, right? That's too much.
Yeah.
We got to get mass. So if I pushed you that way, feel how powerful that is?
no, it's going forward. It's not going around.
Yeah, see, let's keep doing it right there, and then boom. See how I'm pushing you forward? There's power there, right?
Yeah. It's like your whole body's into the ball.
Your whole body's in the ball. And if I come over here and I go like this on your body and wipe around, you're not going to feel anything. But if I go like that, you got something, right?
Yeah.
You can feel it. And that's different for every player, that's for sure. But you want your mass working forward. So same thing, smooth. Good job. That was better in time too.
It feels really weird.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good though.
That's good.
So I'm not gonna. This is not gonna make me. I mean, it feels like I'm almost a slide in front
You
of it.
don't want your head to move forward, right?
No, yeah, I want to stay behind the ball, just the mass.
Yeah, so
So
you
the head
move the
stays there.
mass forward, right?
Yeah.
And then your head, that's going to be stable, and it'll move forward after you hit the ball, because the mass is moving you, it's pulling you forward. The mass will be moving you forward. That's shit you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
But I do want you to think of that pendulum that I was demonstrating. Take it up there and push it. There you go. Good. That's a little spinny, and even on that shot, even though it's a foot from the hole, on that shot, you knew that was that same 7-iron you just hit. Same compression rate, right?
Yeah.
And so that means that, and that's always goes back to my, kind of like what I talk about with the 30 to 50 yard shot. You'll find that the problems will be there as much as they are in the 70. You don't get exposed with direction because the ball's not going far enough, but the compression rates and all those things will be there. And that was a little bit offline, but it wasn't like way offline.
Yeah.
But so that gets bigger. That'll get more offline with a driver and a 7-iron because it's offline at 30 and 40 yards. So work the same thing. Try to think of that law of the pendulum that I showed you. A little bit of a delay, and remember width on the downswing. Okay? Width on the downswing, and then the mass will just run forward, and don't let it run to the left. So a little delay. Get better. Good. All right. And you still don't have to waste that energy through being left of the ball, like left being rotation at the end. You can, just trust yourself for a few swings, just going. Just go this way. Let the club go through. Let it keep going. Trust that. Just trust that.
Okay.
You're getting here through the shot, and you're going right? You don't have
Yeah.
to do that. It's not good for your spine. You can learn how to do that and hit it good. I'm not going to tell anybody you can't, but it's not the most efficient. And you're going to have a lot of wipes and thin shots because you're going to outrun the club.
Okay.
You're going to outrun the sweet spot. Did you hear the sound? That was better.
That feels really weird.
Yeah. That means you changed something if it feels weird, right? But the ball flight was perfect.
Yeah, it was good.
So that's what you got to make. Weird's got to be the new kind of normal.
Yep.
But I know it's weird because you tend to spin out and outrun a little bit. I know it's weird. Keep making it weird. Beautiful. There was some spinning going on as you went forward. You went forward, but you were trying to open.
Just open.
Yeah, and give yourself some time in your transition, right? So you don't have to come out of it and create speed. You got plenty of that. Just give yourself some time, a little slower, in coming out of transition. So like that means, so the law of the pendulum looks like this. When you go back, it'll be kind of faster going back or normal, which is fine. It'll go slow into transition. It'll go slow out for about a few inches. You know, I'm not measuring it, but if I was to go back here, and it'll go slow, and then the mass will go forward, and that's where you're going to get the power. If you come in here and you do a good job of kind of slowing it down and gathering club, but then you sometimes get fast, this part right at the end will get fast here, and that will throw off the timing, okay? So if I can get here, slow, and then through, right? And, you know, so many players on the tour do a great job of that, but some do it better than others, and you can, you know, Justin Rose, look at his ball striking week in and week out and tell me he doesn't do things right. And that's what he does. You look at Dustin Johnson, he's got his own type of swing, but that's exactly what he does.
Well, I mean, I think that
They both have their own swing. Every player on tour has their own swing. But they use advantage. This is something that's just sitting there ready for you to take advantage of. Think of that law of the pendulum. Let it start down slow. All right? You're not gonna have to worry about putting pressure and speed and all that crap on the shot. Slow. There you go. Now you tried to spin with it. It was thin, as we know, but you tried to spin with it. Just trust that when you get up here and let it come down slow and just go forward. All right, slow, better. Have more thumpage, but your chest is still. You got to realize what's happening because we're not talking about downswing playing. This is where it gets tricky, and great players know this happens. I mean, if you're talking to a tour player, an elite tour player, when they hit a shot, we know that the plane of the ball or the plane of the club is coming in on the right angle here, right? Mm-hmm. But what you don't realize, and TrackMan doesn't find this stuff, and this isn't, you know, any launch monitor is not going to find this. This is a human being. You know, the best computer you got in the world, launch monitor you have, is right between your ears. Okay. So when you hit it, when you're hitting it like this, and your chest is, I don't care what the face says it is at impact, right? Okay. And you spin your shoulders as you're hitting that ball, you're going, essentially, you're over the top. All right. Same thing. If I hit the ball and I ran out this way, it would spin the other way. It's a masse, right? It's not taken into equation. It's not talked about much. I talk about it with my players, but you don't hear masse being talked about much in golf. You hear face and this and that. Masse is huge, all right? So your face is huge too, right? We know that. Yep. But when you're here, why would you want to spin that and make it come off the ball? We don't want that. We want to hit it, all right? And as we're hitting, we want mass to move forward, all right? Like this. And then obviously the golf ball would be gone like that, but we don't want to get everything into the shot this way and go like that. Doesn't make any sense. Okay. Yet, you see lots of people working on it. Yeah. And they're usually working on it because you don't have, if you take advantage of the physics here, all right, if you take advantage of the law of the momentum, it doesn't take a lot of work. I mean, this doesn't take a lot of work to be able to do that and hit it great every time. You do this, and you're hitting, let's just say you get it in here tight, and then your chest is rotating, spinning, your mass goes in a circle this way. You can't work hard enough because your hands aren't ever going to know what to do on the same day or the same shot every time because they're getting pulled around superficially as you're hitting the ball. And where it stems from is, one, you see players hit a shot on the tour and they'll come in and hit one and they'll kind of, you see some of this spinning, all right? So they see the end effect. instead of when you watch these other ones, which one would you rather have? That first one or second one?
The second one.
I want the second one.
Yeah.
So I could hit this all with mass moving forward like that, and then spin late. And a lot of players can do that. They're so good. They don't know they do it, but they can. And so what we see a lot of times on TV is the end effect. We see all this stuff, which is you don't need. And so then you start copying. Junior golfers and good players will start trying to copy getting over swinging, getting it on plane and then hard left. And they wonder why they're not hitting good, and it's massé. Okay, the ball's hitting, square, and it's getting massé one way or the other. Okay,
Spinning sideways on the
mass
face.
just needs to go forward. All right, so kind of have that little slow, come in slow out of transition, right? That's the first thing today. And I only want your mass to go that way. I don't want any rotation. And we'll start with that. Slow and forward. That was actually better. I know it wasn't your best shot, but that was better. Same exact thing. Don't try to twist. Good. There you go. Exactly. Beautiful. You like that one, don't you?
Yeah.
So that was a blend of mass and rotation, which is ultimately what everybody wants, the pros want. Because all you focus on, you're never going to have to worry about rotation. You already rotate beautifully, all right? I mean, too much, actually.
Yeah.
So when you only focus on the forward, you get the middle ground, all right? The middle ground's where the money's at for you. So law of the pendulum. So that means the downswing starts slow. There you go. Good. Beautiful. All right, now we're doing good here. That's good stuff. And guess what? It's the same for a 7. You know all that. It's the same for a 7 or drive.
Every club in the bag.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense to do anything different with another club, does it?
No.
Beautiful shot. That a boy. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it feels really weird because I guess everybody preaches that get the club left and
Everybody's talking left.
every talking left, but in the end, I outrace and then I try to go left and then
Hey, as long as I want them to keep doing it. I mean, I'm always going to have job security as long as I keep talking about swinging hard left, because nobody's doing it the right way. Beautiful. #1 ball striker on the PGA Tour last year was Henrik Stenson. And ask him how hard he's trying to swing left.
he's not. He finishes like 5th.
Exactly. Best ball striker on the tour.
Yeah. Oh,
You can swing left, but you still have to hit the ball first and keep it on the face for a certain amount of time, and then it can go left.
So it's hit it and then hit the ball and then go.
It can do that, but see, even that's kind of like kind of manufactured. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You just don't. It's not as you don't have to go as hard left as. And I've even I've talked about going left, but I don't ever hear me talking about going left before I've hit a ball. Like in the downswing, just go left. You don't want to do that. You're pulling a whole unit, the club, in the butt of the club, and because we're talking about 2 specific areas that you have to control. Like you've heard people talk about swing the handle or swing the club head or whatever. It's not just one of those. It's both. You got to have control of the handle and the club head, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm coming in here, all right, so I get up here at the top and I'm going to swing this down, and I get right here, which on down the line, which would be on plane, and I get it right in here, and all of a sudden I'm twisting out of that. I mean, it's just common sense. You've hit the plane perfectly, and then you've pulled yourself out. If I get here and I don't move, then I'm going to end up with that big flip. You get like that. So that's where you get here. The sweet spot, the handle, and everything are all one unit. So that's where you get good, like this, right? Boom. And after you've hit the ball right here, you can do the Arnold Palmer and do all this stuff for the Chi and fall out here. But you got to get yourself to there. The mass and momentum's forward. And if they're wired together, even if somebody's a more rotational player, that's fine. If somebody wants to be a rotational and they're a really good player, they still have to be, their brain has to be wired to their whole body and the sweet spot. So they can't just rotate and spin out and leave the sweet spot back or flip the sweet spot and rotate. they have to be together. Now, it's more efficient if you understand the lower part of the spine and what it's designed to do, and you understand mass and momentum. This is not near as efficient as this, right? Because this still has rotation, but I'm using mass, my body weight, against the golf ball, and then I can just swing like, I don't have to use a lot of effort at that point. Okay? Like it?
Better.
Do you feel it?
Yeah.
A little spinny? You got it's a 15-footer, but, you just could feel it kind of run off the face, right?
Yeah.
And most of that is from spin. And when you move your weight forward, your mass forward, it's got to be slow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you start to move your mass forward, don't try to make it fast. Make it in time with the sweet spot.
Okay.
Like that. That would work, huh?
Yeah.
And then for somebody as weird as that felt for you, like if you're when you're watching this video and somebody else watching that, you can barely see any difference.
Yeah.
But we certainly see it with your ball flight.
Yeah.
But it feels to you like a radical change, doesn't it?
Yeah. Feel versus real.
Yeah.
Feels
We got to
completely
make
different.
feel real. So, and that's what being a great player. For you, I want to get it to where it is real for you. Like like when you're rotating out or whenever it's in time or whatever it is, that you can feel that. And I think that's really important, as talented as you are. A little spinning. Did you feel so back?
I feel myself getting here.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're tapping into it, right?
Really feel it.
So the rotation is faster than the sweet spot moving down, right? And
Mhm.
so that creates that slack, that disconnect.
I think that's what's so hard for me because I've been doing this
Exactly.
for so long.
There's a disconnect. Obviously you play pretty good doing that, but you're not going to play at that level you got to play at.
Yep. Consistency. Room.
You're putting way too much effort into the lower body. You just use your mass to go forward. So slow coming out of transition, go forward. There you go. Because like you see there, like you hit the ball with mass forward, then the rotation happens naturally. It pulls you out, right?
Mhm.
You felt it a little bit there too, right? So that was one that was really good coming in, like all the way to the ball. And then as you hit the ball, you were spinning
Spinning.
as you were hitting. And if you tap into that, right, and you will, because you're a good enough athlete, you'll start to feel that happen. Like it's hitting right in the sweet spot there and sliding. And I don't want it to slide as it's hitting the ball. I don't want that to slide on the ball, or on the face, excuse me.
Yeah, because it just feels weird because if I'm going forward, I'm getting here and then I'm going forward into the ball.
You're perfect here, right? And then there's this
No, right
like
there.
that. It slides on the face instead of just use the mass to keep going forward.
Yeah, see
The
what I-
club's going left,
Yeah.
trust me.
Yeah, it feels like the club's doing this, and that's why it's
Yeah, and you definitely
weird
don't
for
want
me.
that, and it's not.
Yeah,
but
but
if
it's
you
not.
just go forward, even that's too much rotation. Come back here, and here, if you just go forward right here, I'm telling you, if you look at that down the line, you don't need to be more than left than that. Just a waste of
What's the time?
waste of time, and your lower back eventually is going to tell you to quit doing it. Forward, beautiful.
Yeah, that was good.
And it is a foot from the hole. Great shot. But more importantly, you had that compression you're looking for, which again, when you're hitting, how far do you normally hit your 7-iron?
7 irons, like 175.
Yeah, 175. So, I mean, when you're hitting it, even that's with a true blade. And so, and you're hitting it with the 175 without that full compression of that's going to be 190 with the full compression, and with less effort, because you're using mass to go forward and not around. We'll take some of that. That time your mass was going forward really well, but you went faster than the sweet spot.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to explain that, because that's important to know. Whether you rotate or whatever style you have doesn't really matter, but when you get here and that time you went forward a little early, and it threw you off. So when you go, you want to make sure that as you come out of slow here, that it's in time, that the mass is in time with the sweet spot. So you don't want to go, just like you don't want to spin and hold this back, you don't want to go here first either and go that. You want to make sure it's in time. And that's why the law of the pendulum is it slows down here, it slows down in transition, and then it moves forward, right? And that will be, that will really, you know, put it this way, it'll change the game for you. But you need to know that, because put that in your notebook. It's got to be the same speed. The mass needs to be the same speed as the sweet spot. That's incorrect, right?
No disconnect, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You only go forward, and it should be take it all the way up to the top first, and then don't do too much of that pump stuff. Just real slow, relax. That's the speed you can learn from here. See? That's the speed you can learn from. You can feel that. There's no need to pump the shaft. That's the worst drill in golf is the pump drill. Smooth. There you go. Smooth. That's it. There's a little more twisty as you're hitting the ball that you need.
It is, yeah, because that's just all I'm saying is getting out here, this right here,
yep.
It feels really out, and I'm not comfortable with it, and that's why I keep pulling in.
Yeah, you just don't trust it yet.
Yeah, I don't.
But you'll learn that it's a waste of time eventually. You'll start to realize that it's just, it's just a waste of time. Yeah, just relax, man. All right, slow in transition and forward. So what you did, you kind of went quick out of transition there. So you got quick out of transition with both the hips and the club, instead of a little more patience with the club and definitely more patience with the body, whether you go rotationally or whether you go forward.
Okay.
It needs to be in better time done. Better. That was a harder swing, but that was better. I mean, everything was synced up, and you could hear that thump and that squash, right? Beauty. You like that one?
Yeah.
I would too. Perfect flight. It's a great shot. There you go. That's all you got. When you practice, you just practice that. Take it up and stop whenever you practice, wherever you go. It's not to look at the shaft or any of that stuff. Then when you come down, just take your time and move the mass when you move the sweet spot. So let's move the sweet spot down and move the mass forward. That's it. Bam. Right? And then it's at alignment, and then you can go left, right, whatever. But you'll realize that you don't have to go hard left because it's already left. Patience in transition and just forward. So what happened there? And I kind of thought you would do that because you're making this. You got remember, you got to know this as a player. So if you only take one thing away from this lesson, only one thing today, all right, is if you're going out and you're making your body a bigger movement than the sweet spot, all right, and that becomes a bigger movement than the whole unit, right? The swing is designed as a whole unit. It's not hips, and it's not shoulders, and it's not arms, and it's not club head. It's everything together. Bam, right? So what you did there is you made this movement way more dominant than the club head, all right? And as soon as you did that, your brain is just like an electrical wire. It just got cut in the middle, so there's no communication anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, and all of a sudden, outran, and you don't have any feel.
Yeah.
And that's why you hit a bad shot. You couldn't save it. There's no way. So when you're here, when you come down, everything works together. If you work rotationally, that's fine. Yeah. If you want to, hurt your back or whatever and still play great golf, it can't be bigger than the sweet spot. Whether you're rotational or whether you're a combination, which is what we're teaching, is just moving you forward, which will convert into rotation. Okay? But the sweet spot you can't have your body more dominant than the sweet spot.
Okay.
Especially coming out of transition. There you go. Beautiful swing. Took the flag out on that one. Good shot. You got away with it.
Yeah.
But you could tell, like, you've done it now enough to know that that was, you caught the face and it scooted it. It's kind of, and that ball was only 10 feet from the hole. I mean, it was on good line, but it was like that 7-iron we were hitting earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hitting the ball. As you hit the ball, it was square and it was perfect numbers and all that stuff. But what the factor was is it had masse on it.
Yeah. That's where it leaks right then.
It's going to leak right and leak left, depending on the masse. That was in the ballpark. I still think you're trying to, that's coming out a little more open than what when you striped it, it wasn't doing that.
Mm-hmm. It feels different.
Your speed, now one thing I will say is the timing of the sweet spot, what I just talked about, is better. But I want to see you move forward, not fast, but I want to see you move in time with the mass in the sweet spot forward and kind of in that rotation part for you. Right? So slow in transition and only move forward really smoothly. In the ballpark. You're trying to spin when you hit the ball.
Yeah, I'm trying to spin. I can feel it.
Scared, right?
It's just weird because it's like, oh, because I've been doing this,
especially when you know, like you've hit those ones where you know, like that's that high level tour strike, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when you start to do it the other way, even though it's 10 feet, you know that's not the best way, most optimal, which is good. That would work. You held in there long enough. And if you could hold in a little longer, that would even be better. But you can see how you didn't put any effort in there, and that ball just jumped off the face.
It's effortless. It just comes out. It's not, like you said, it's not, it doesn't feel like the ball stays on the face. Like when you're talking about masse, it's like this.
Yep.
It's not weak.
You can feel that torque on the face, right? The
Mhm.
ball to face relationship. Good. That would work. And so if somebody saw that, they'd say, well, he still spun, but it was at the end of the swing.
Yeah.
You didn't spin. You could tell you did not spin as you were hitting the ball. You were going forward.
Yeah, just going.
And that would work.
This
I mean,
way.
that, yeah, absolutely. And you were doing that. You were doing that not there. You were still doing that. You weren't doing that. You were going just forward. You don't even less there. You don't have to rotate. You can just go forward. See. See, I can take you here. If you hit the ball, go ahead and strike. And if I just go forward, see that? It's just a little more forward. Now swing the club forward. Just swing it. It'll pull you around. The club's going to pull you. See what I mean?
Yeah. It's weird.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. That is definitely different.
That's the best shot you've hit all day.
Yeah, that felt really good.
And it's because you kind of felt how weird that really was. That was definitely the best shot you've hit.
It was
the
way
entire
better
day.
flight.
The absolute perfect golf shot right there. And it's because I was showing you how odd that you can still go forward. It's not about going left.
Yeah, it feels like I'm like.
Yeah. Feels that way for you,
It feels
right?
that way. Well, I know it's
And
not.
a lot of amateurs are. So I mean, this is different. This is kind of specific to this topic, to your swing, obviously. But mass, you want mass to go forward. There's a lot of reasons why guys can't get their body open to the target, and it has nothing to do with mobility. It has everything to do with transition. You've already bypassed all that stuff. And that's why it's working for you, because you know how to slow yourself down in transition, and then you can start to do whatever move you want to do. There's another beauty. One before, like that was awesome. I mean, that's a gimme, but like,
The
you know,
one before, yeah.
one before was in the shot longer, right?
Mhm.
So as you were hitting the ball, you weren't getting that club in your body left. You were moving forward, right? There you go, exactly. That's forward. Because if you look at that, you're rotating. If I measured you, if I had you on one of our machines or whatever, and I wanted to measure all this, yeah, it's got rotation attached to it, but all you're trying to do is go forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that matters. That time you made it was another really good, but what do you think you did wrong there? It's 15 feet offline to the right.
That right there, I just felt.
Because that's going to be important. I want you to dial into why that went right. It's
There's
not
still-
club face and all that stuff.
It's still. Is it still spinning?
No, No, and that's important because I don't want you to start thinking, oh, I'm spinning. What happened was on that swing right there, everything stayed the same. Transition came out nice, and you made this move bigger than the sweet spot. So you went harder forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This got more forward, all right, and this was staying back and not coming in the ball, so boom, it went right. So that's why I'm always saying no matter whatever style you do, this comes in as one unit, okay?
Okay.
So it became bigger, and that's the number one thing today. So the movement is very small, and it's always in time with the sweet spot, no matter what happens. You had some spin on that one.
Yep.
Transition speed was really good, but you know it was just the movement was a little bigger than the sweet spot, right?
Mm-hmm. That's weird. It just feels really weird waiting on the club.
Absolutely.
Not used to that.
It's a mechanical advantage, you know.
Yeah.
You know anything about physics, it's a mechanical advantage. And the same thing with biomechanics, even though they're different. You know, biomechanics is the human body. Physics is, you know, laws that you live under.
Yeah.
But you have a mechanical advantage. All you got to do is go forward. Good. A little harder that time with your rotation, and the ball drifted a little. It wasn't horrible, but when you weren't trying to rotate and you were just going forward, your ball, you know it's different. It's better. So go back and just take one up to the top. And all you got to do, like we're working on, just move as you're moving. Everything moves together. Right here, right? That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is. See that? Here's your ball. Here's the ball line. Where's the face?
Right there.
It's left, isn't it?
That's left.
Yeah, it's left. I'm not teaching to go that way.
Yeah.
You hit here and are going forward. All you're doing is going forward. That's left. Here's the line. Okay.
Yeah.
And the handle down the line would be left.
That was left. I guess I just not.
So
but
what you're doing is you're hitting here, and like most good players are trying to swing left, and they are. They're hitting the ball square like that on plane, and then they're pulling their body in and left. And good luck. Good luck.
Yep.
Slow. Make your movement small. There you go. You were patient on that one. For you, you're doing so much better than in this lesson than the last lesson with your patience in transition, which is allowing you to do whatever you want to do, which is, it's kind of the bread and butter. And then now what we got to do is just make sure that you're making whatever body pattern you make, which we know this is better, but make that in time with the sweet spot. Now, obviously, I've said that probably 30 times, but I want that to really take home with you so that you can get yourself to that, the player that you should be. We'll take it. What'd you feel on that one?
I'm just trying to get here. Just trying to get here and then get the club back here and then.
Yep,
moving
it's a
forward
little
together.
left right there. And that one again, if somebody was watching, they would say, "Oh, it's phenomenal." And I agree, it's really good. It's not as good as you can do though. The body was moving as the club was on the ball here. The body was trying to help you out. You don't need that.
Moving that way.
Just go forward. And slow when you do it. So was that shot not better?
Yeah, I felt a lot better.
Ball was 10,000 times better. Everything was better. It was because what was happening going through the ball.
The mass.
Just mass forward, It's just if I take you here, go ahead and hold your club. All right? At impact. And you don't need all this. If I just take you and just kind of let the club move forward as I'm moving your body. Go ahead and let it move forward. If I do that right there and just keep moving, let the club move. That's how much effort it takes. Now, here's what we know what was happening, right? Before, as you're hitting the ball here, pulling that in, swing the club left now. And tell me that doesn't feel weird now.
Yeah,
and make any sense.
Feel stupid.
Exactly.
Feel stupid now.
Yep.
Like, why would you do that?
You don't, and that's the thing. We're adding things in that just don't. There's no need to do all that stuff.
Just simplifying.
You can only do what you know, and most people don't understand this. And if you don't understand it, you're going to play that circle of failure, which is just spinning and rotating, or then you'll go into the next one, hanging back and flipping. You'll just play all these games with your golf swing, and you'll never get any better.
Yep.
Wait for it. Patience. Patience. We'll take it all day, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful shot. Good job today, man. So kind of demonstrate with your swing, kind of what you're doing there. Obviously, you've been demonstrating the whole time, but without hitting a ball, just kind of demonstrate and walk us through what you worked on.
And instead of basically spinning out like I have been,
Yep.
the club getting here and leaving the club behind, like you said at the beginning of the lesson, having the club here, and essentially, I mean, the timing part of it, it's really weird for me. It's instead of getting here and my body spinning out and the club
Yep.
staying behind, I'm trying to stay out here and wide.
On the
Personally,
downswing, right?
On the downswing, I try to stay out here and wide, and then get the club essentially back in front of me
There you go.
and together, and then move into the ball
There you
left
go.
and not
Good.
spinning.
Mass that comes together and the sweet spot comes
Yeah.
together. You don't have to do all this crazy twist and stuff, right?
It just feels more in sync. Like that feels more stable. Like this feels way more stable right here than going forward. I mean, even though this whole spiel afterwards feels weird for me right now, but
Yeah, because the thing is, after the momentum, to realize the circle's already started for a great player. Now it hasn't. I'm going to demonstrate because that's
Okay.
important that these people who are watching this learn. For a great player, what happens if they they sit down and they start this nice circle. Now, what do you do? So like the circle, you got to realize when they start this circle, it's kind of like a tornado in transition. They sit down and they circle and they start to unwind as they're not pulling this way. They start to unwind this way, right? And then what happens is that we go forward, that circle is pulling you out. So if you have a tornado like this and it's just sitting still, and then you just move it barely forward, it still has the rotation. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you're starting, as you do this, and you're sinking and circling, then all you do is you move the mass forward. Now for you, what you were doing is you were doing the sinking circle,
spinning.
and you were here, right?
Yeah.
And so this got narrow, and this is a big change for you today too. That right there, because this looks good on video. A lot of people love that. I don't teach that.
I don't like it.
I like this. I like what the modern swing is. I love you screw the modern swing.
Yeah.
Laws of physics. I believe in those.
The
And
width
if you
part.
do, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to do this.
There.
Because I'm telling you, you can bomb it. You can hit it straight. You can do whatever you want. Ball control. With this, if you start pulling the club in like this and holding back or spinning like you were doing, you're going to play this cat and mouse game every shot. If the club either looks like that, which might be, let's say some call it good, bad, whatever. It could be this way. It could be mass 8 as you hit it. But when you do this, and it's just so much more relaxed. When I go like that, it's not casting out,
Yeah.
but it's a form of width. There can be a little bit of play here, and then you work under and with the shot, and then momentum carries you around. So you're going to see rotation, but you're not forcefully adding rotation. You've already created the rotations. You sit here and slow down, and you start your circle, which is just here. It's that much. Then as you move forward, the forward momentum will pull you around. Now, if you only go the top and you do this, good luck. That's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about going like this today, and we're not talking about going this way. We're talking about getting it slow, creating some width, and getting the sweet spot in time with the mass of the body this way. And there is rotation, but you don't have to think about that. All you have to do is think forward because we've built your transition so damn good that all you have to do is take control of that part, right?
Yep.
Great job today.
Thank